Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Achim Hartig. I'm working with Germany Trade and Invest, the trade and investment promotion agency of Germany. I would like to take the opportunity and congratulate the International Trade Council for having this prestigious conference. I also would like to thank the ITC for giving me the opportunity to speak here. In the next 20 minutes, I'm going to speak about the German economy briefly, and also I'm going to introduce industry segments of the German economy which lead to a green and sustainable future. In the last year, the IFO Institute predicted minus 7.2 up to minus 20.6 percentage points negative growth of the German economy. Becomes pretty clear if we look at the development of the gross domestic product in the EU and Germany. From the financial crisis to the COVID crisis, we see that there's a strong correlation of both economies, the German and those of the EU 27 countries. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. The IFO Institute in Germany regularly does surveys among industry leaders to get an impression about the business sentiment in the country. Here, the IFO Institute realizes positive business sentiment, an increase by 30% since April 2020. Here we see the IFO indicators. We have the business climate in black, the business situation in red, and the business expectation in blue. We see that all the three indicators given by the German industry are on a positive trend since April 2020, projecting also better expectations and a better situation in 2021. The sentiments of the IFO survey are supported by business facts on this slide. The circles mean productivity in percent, the bars mean capacity utilization in percentage points. We see the core industries of the German economy: selection, manufacturing, engineering, automotive, electrical industry, metal industry, and chemical industry. And we see on the bar graph a comparison between April 2020 versus January 2020, and in green, January 2021 versus April 2020. So in terms of capacity utilization, companies are deploying more personnel, and the productivity rises significantly. As we can see, it's between 79% in the metal industry and almost 86% in the chemical industry. If we want to have a projection how the German economy is going to develop in 2021 and 2022, we have to look at the exports and imports, as Germany is a country highly depending on world trade. The export growth rate has been positive throughout the years until 2020, where there was a significant decline by minus 9.3%. To compensate that and to come back to original levels, growth rates about 8.8% and 6.1% are projected in the following years, and our expectation is that this will stabilize on a higher positive level. This also applies for imports, which are, of course, strongly correlated with exports. Here we see it's the same decline to 2020, and we expect that the imports will correlate with the development of the exports in Germany. If we take a look at Germany as a business location, we know that there are exports and imports involved, and the sheer size of exports and imports show that Germany as a business platform is promising and wealthy. If you look at the market size in comparison to other countries within the EU, Germany is number one with a GDP of 3.3 billion euros. Also, we do have a significant share of the EU GDP with 25%. We're doing this with 20% or 90% of the population of the European Union, giving companies doing business in Germany a solid platform and the security to find business partners and to tap into a large market. If you would ask a company why they want to do business in Germany, you would probably receive an answer like the market size, which I just talked about. But there are other factors like the first-class infrastructure we can provide, for example, in logistics, or digital infrastructure, or accessibility by plane, by boat, by train, and by car, by lorry. The productivity of the German economy is among the highest worldwide. We have an innovative power leading to a number of patents in future industries. We have an investment environment which is safe and secure. That means your intellectual property is protected, as well as we have low corruption in the country. This, but not only this, leads to a high quality of life. So it's not surprising that several of German cities are among the cities best to live in worldwide in regular surveys of external institutions. But also people and companies would come to Germany because of the education system. Germany offers dual education and vocational trainings. That means employees are educated twofold on an academic level in a university and also on a practical level in a company where they are doing the practical work they would do later in their job. That means if a company later employs an employee, he or she will be able not only to conceptualize the work he or she is doing, but also to apply it practically. This combination leads to a steeper learning curve for the employee and the company, but also to higher innovation cycles and a better quality in products and services. We have seen how the German economy performs under the crisis. There are a number of effects. Some of them are listed here. One measure is particularly good to soften the blow. It's called Kurzarbeit. Kurzarbeit, or short-term work, is a model where employees work only part-time, the company pays them part-time, and the difference to 100% of their wages is in part paid by the government for a certain period of time and for a certain volume. This enables the companies to keep their employees employed and to give them a better position for a restart once the crisis gets softer or once the crisis is over. These elements to help companies in economical distress to maintain profitable and to have a good starting position for the future is especially important for the majority of German companies, which are called the German Mittelstand or small and medium-sized enterprises. The German Mittelstand is huge. It consists of more than 3 million companies. Most of these companies are small companies. But 287,000 companies have more than 10 employees, 70,000 companies have more than 50 employees, and 6,400 companies have 500 employees and more. That means also that a significant amount of employees in Germany are employed in a company of the German Mittelstand. And in fact, 58% of all employees are employed in a company of the German Mittelstand. And the Mittelstand itself makes almost 100% of all enterprises in Germany. You see 99.5 here, creating 58% share of net value added. The high number of companies also leads to a high risk diversification within the economy across different industries and across the high number of companies, making Germany a stable economy. If we're looking at two large industries in Germany, the manufacturing and production industry, they are an important pillar for the German economy. If you look at production and manufacturing, they are responsible for more than 22% of the gross value added in Germany. More than 1 trillion euros of revenue come from the automotive, machinery and metal industries. They employ more than 3 million people. Chemicals, pharma, electric and nutrition industries account for a revenue of 0.5 trillion euros, and they employ 1.8 million people in Germany. Resilience of an economy is not only depending on the number of companies in the country or on the number of industries in an economy, it's also depending on the culture of the companies. The German Mittelstand has a culture which pairs tradition with quality and innovation. And to prove this, we can take a look at some German companies which are in the business for quite a while, as you can see. Some of these company names have become brand names. And these companies not only have overcome wars, health crises, currency devaluation, and political changes, they also have overcome the change of demands in markets and the change of competition and structures in the world trade and investment system. So these companies are successful. They are capable to innovate where necessary, and they're also able to keep their tradition where necessary. Resilience is in the DNA of the German economy because companies are capable of doing this. Doing business in Germany means to become part of this DNA and to tap this market potential and also to benefit from the spillover effects when pairing tradition with innovation. We, as a trade and investment promotion agency, are thriving to do both, supporting the German economy in its resilience and also contributing to developing the economy, becoming greener and more sustainable. As a response to the COVID-19 crisis, we developed 5 strategic industry areas in which we believe we can support those industries in Germany best that are particularly stricken by the effects of the pandemic and can benefit most from our services. These industry areas you see here on the right, these are digital infrastructure, automation technologies and robotics, pharma, medtech, e-health, innovative climate-saving, mobility supply chain solutions, and trade and logistics. Some of these industry areas I will come back on in the later slides. Although we focus our efforts on these industry areas, we continue to support all companies that are interested to set up business in Germany. Sustainability in the economy can be significantly supported by digital infrastructure and investments in digital technologies. For example, by investing in digital technologies and by speeding up digitization in the most important economic sectors, we can address green and digital challenges at the same time. Of course, such growth in digital infrastructure can be regarded critically. More digitization means more end devices, also means bigger data volumes, and so more energy-hungry data centers. And that can mean more climate-damaging emissions. However, taken on balance, digitization actually can be an important factor in reducing emissions. These 2 scenarios shown here show the total carbon dioxide emission reductions required for Germany to hit its emission reduction target by 2030. In the left-hand scenario, there is a moderate level of digitization. That digitization can lead to major efficiency savings, especially in mobility, industrial manufacturing processes, and the energy sector, which reduces energy usage and emissions. And those savings are shown here on the left in blue. The extra emissions created by extra hardware is the light blue part of the total blue area, the cancelled out reductions. So on balance, even in this moderate scenario, digitization delivers a third of the savings Germany needs by 2030. In the right-hand scenario, there is more rapid digitization. However, although more digitization causes more emissions, shown again as the light blue part of the blue section, the total savings are much greater. In fact, Bitkom, the German Association for IT companies, estimates that digitization could deliver half of the emission savings needed for Germany to reach its 2030 goal. Digital infrastructure, like any other infrastructure, such as power, a road, a rail, digital infrastructure is now an essential foundation for the German economy. The 2020s will be the digital decade in Germany. When we talk about digital infrastructure, we mean the technical, physical side, for example, 5G rollout, broadband via fiber, and the data centers needed to process increasing volumes of data traffic. The industry association ECO expects growth to be steady through the middle of the decade. Additionally, on top of this physical layer, which we see at the bottom, network infrastructure and operations, comes the digital and software-based side of things, be it platforms, big data, and artificial intelligence, or the European Gaia X project, which aims to develop common requirements for a European and open digital ecosystem that ensures the digital sovereignty of cloud service users, but also that allows the scalability of European cloud providers and business models, enabling them to compete globally. The aim is to create open data infrastructure based on European values. You can see here in the layers the services and applications that run on the physical hardware and the digital business models they enable. These are set to see rapid growth in Germany in the coming years, going up to a total of 253 billion euros projected revenue in 2025. Germany is sustainably adopting climate-saving mobility and supply chain solutions. The policy goals for 2030 are ambitious. We're looking at a reduction of 40% of emission in the transport sector, 10 million electric vehicles in Germany, and 1 million charging stations for electric vehicles in Germany. The way to become a more sustainable and greener economy, mobility plays a major role. Here we see the battery electric vehicle registration in Germany. The number of units has reached almost 200,000 in 2020, and over 700,000 electric vehicles, that also includes, for example, hybrids, and over 40,000 public charging stations are in place in the first quarter of 2021. The market is still huge and has a huge potential to grow, so there are a number of cash incentives available to support this market development. But also international companies see the value of the German market. For example, Tesla is setting up a large factory in Germany. Also, battery producers like CATL, SVolt, Northvolt, and others are discovering Germany as a tremendous market to develop components for electric mobility. Another area supporting sustainability in industries is automation and robotics. Automation of processes not only can lead to a higher quality and better services, it also leads to a better and more efficient deployment of resources. For decades, automation and robotics has been an integral part of the German automotive industry and production. As the technology has become more versatile, we see deployment in a vast number of industry areas between production, manufacturing, but also medical services and care. With additional industries benefiting from automation and robotics, the already voluminous market in Germany will grow further. The strong ecosystem of machinery industry in Germany leads to secure supply chains and hence to a higher resilience of the automation and robotics industry. This industry segment is particularly beneficial as it can connect multiple verticals and make them more efficient market players. Two segments of the automation and robotics market exemplify the relevance of these components: software to be deployed in Industry 4.0 installations and robotics and automation. As we have seen on the previous slide, the demand increases as companies have to compensate the investment backlog that was built up during the crisis. There we can have expectations this will lead to a higher degree of automation in the German industries, leading to lower prices, thus making it for companies more attractive to establish more segments of their value chains in Germany. This also could limit the exposure of the economy to supply chain risks, supporting a more resilient and again sustainable business environment. Germany's healthcare market is the largest in Europe by market volume, number of patients, manufacturers, and providers. Healthcare spendings in 2019 amounted up to 407 billion euros. The market for medical technologies amounts up to 36 billion euros. The market for pharmaceuticals amounts up to 44 billion euros, making both markets number one in Europe. In healthcare-related industries, Germany imports for 17 billion euros annually. The demographic structure in Germany and the full coverage of patients with health insurance gives the healthcare market in Germany a strong positive outlook. Germany has 1,900 hospitals with 500,000 beds, 20,000 pharmacies, 385,000 doctors and the highest density in intensive care unit beds. During the COVID-19 crisis, the healthcare market in Germany has received additional push factors in public health for hospital modernization, local production of medicines, research and development of vaccines in Germany, and local production and strategic reserves of personal protection equipment. With 24 medtech clusters certified to ECEI standards, research and development can be carried out in close cooperation with the industry and with a high probability for success in the market. In the last minutes, I talked about the German economy, and I talked about what kind of industries could support Germany's economy to become greener and more sustainable. Given the number of companies in Germany and the variety of industries, Germany can become a valuable business location for almost every company. Germany Trade and Invest is a governmental agency for trade promotion and investment promotion. Every year we speak with several thousands of companies worldwide and help them setting up their business in Germany. Our services include information and consulting. We have a market entry strategy as services, market information, site selection support, matching and partnering when it comes to research and development. We provide comprehensive information about EU and national subsidies, about the legal frameworks, and about tax aspects you need to know when you set up your business in Germany. Also, we provide a fast track to institutions to keep your administrative processes as few and short as possible. Since we are a governmental agency, all our services are free of charge. Germany Trade and Invest supports your move expanding to Germany at all times. Again, I would like to take the opportunity to thank the International Trade Council for giving me the opportunity to speak at this conference. I'm looking very much forward to our questions and answers section later on. If you need further information, or if you are considering setting up your business in Germany, please don't hesitate to contact me or one of my colleagues listed on this slide. Thank you very much for your attention.